Alright, hello, back to Halo. Sorry about those avant-garde volume levels in my first couple of videos. I think I've figured out what was wrong with those, and hopefully you can just hear me clearly now without any weird noise. One friend said it sounds like I am in a rocking chair back and forthing away from the microphone. I did figure out what I think the problem was, and hopefully we're just going to get something you can actually listen to without being disturbed. So, yes, what did I want to do? I wanted to show you Halo, and I think I have about gotten the point across in this room and then some, and if I repeated myself a lot, I'm sorry. It's just that I think that certain key ideas really need to be established as a baseline and just iterated upon until they are just there. You know, this is an expressive work, top to bottom. Someone's will made it happen. Now let's look at some of the finer points of Halo, basically things other than interior design. Let's go see what this guy has to say.
I know the ordnance techs usually take care of your targeting sensors, but we're short of time, Chief. Just look at each of the flashing panels to target them. When you lock on, it'll change color.
And now we're doing the tutorial thing. This guy's just going to have us look at lights, and this is the way that the game basically... Yes, this is how the game tests if you instinctively use inverted or normal targeting. This whole thing was basically made to familiarize people who aren't used to first-person controls to figure out what's going on. And, like, basically imagine you've never held an Xbox controller before. That's why this sequence exists. Leave it like that, please, Mr. Techman. Thank you. Now we're doing a regular Let's Play thing. I'm just reacting to shit like a moron. I'm sorry, but we will just have to bear with these crew guys for a moment until they let us go free, basically. Alright, we've been here so long that the Covenant are in the ship, but I've got to get fired up. I was busy explaining to the people who aren't here the finer points of how this room looks. And here's our little in-universe explanation of shields. I don't need to talk about that, but there's basically nothing else to say while this is happening. I hope I'm not boring you. If you just want to right arrow on YouTube through this sequence, I will not begrudge that. Of course, do that at any point. If you want to skip the whole 3 videos where I have completely mangled audio, please just feel free. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't feel like you're getting anything from this, obviously skip the weapons diagnostics.
Aye, aye, sir.
Things are getting a bit urgent.
We better get moving. We'll find you weapons later.
Yeah, I won't need them. This is cool. Let's observe.
They're trying to get through the door. Security! Intruders in the IO2! Please, Sam! Come on, we've got to get the hell out of here.
And yeah, that's the start of the actual action in the game. We've got to follow this guy and... bang. Now this is a kind of like trendy Half-Life sequence we're in where basically, you know, you aren't given many specific instructions, but you're kind of prompted to just react to everything happening around you to get moving, and Halo can be played as that kind of game, sort of. It's not like a kind of post-Call of Duty 4 first-person shooter campaign where, like, the idea is you're basically an actor with a script which is all but dictated to you and you just kind of hit your marks to get moving, but it is very... There are moments where Halo is kind of almost doing that, where it's basically saying, like, you know, there's a very specific thing we want you to do and not much else of note, so you just kind of green arrow, obviously where you go, and orange arrow locked, red on fire, and it killed this poor man. He was trying to get us along, but oh well. I'll actually do some stuff now to show you what's going on. You jump this, and yeah, things as you can see are not going well for the poor crew of this ship, and this is cool, you have no weapon, and yeah, things are... These guys are pretty neat. They actually react pretty interestingly to everything that's going on around them. I'll show off a lot later levels where there's lots of little guys running around. They're all quite cool, but even this part with just bridge crew, they talk, they're very animated compared to guys in...
Situation is secure here. You're probably needed somewhere else.
Yeah, they're very animated for video game characters in a way that I think still stands up, basically. Like, this game was made with the idea that, like, it all kind of, like, runs on its own power, and then you move through the middle of it, so the idea is, like, they set up the aliens, and they set up these guys in a room, and they will, like, fight, talk, do stuff until one side is dead, and it will all look fairly cool. This level was made to be ran through, so they kind of just stand there panting, but, like, this guy has a little animation and stuff. There's more going on than there needs to be, and that will become clearer at certain more dynamic points, but there was a lot of attention all through this, basically from Bungie, to make everything feel lively. Like, this is a world, as I said, that kind of runs under its own power, and then you're just this kind of independent party moving through the middle, whereas a Call of Duty game feels much more like basically the whole world is like running on a script, everyone's just moving around hitting their marks, and then you just move and hit your marks, and there is really no room for dynamic interaction beyond that. Oh, bugger, we have no gun for him, but... Okay, actual soldiers are here to save us.
Chief, Cortana says to get to the bridge, double quick.
Their armor is very cool, and their guns, and I want to talk about that very shortly, but for now I'll just give it this quick look and then we'll get moving, try to respect the intended pace of this sequence somewhat. Sorry about loitering there before. This is cool, this is like an Aliens type scene. We've got a bunch of metal console shit in place, and basically, you know, they're getting through, things aren't going well.
Sir, the captain needs you on the bridge ASAP. Better follow me.
And here's our Australian friend here to save us. There are soldiers around, they were probably meant to save us, but the situation is getting a bit out of hand, and I missed this the first few times I played this game. There are actually, like, very badly injured men in here with animations you don't see much. Like, these guys are all doing kind of their own thing to show that they're injured, and so that guy, I'm meant to be getting in here, and yes, explosion, more aliens bearing down on us, and these guys not having a good day. That Marine's trying to lead us along. So in 1 minute while I check my audio levels. Yeah, we should be running. 1 sec. Yeah, and I think I'm tracking alright. Hopefully this is sounding much better for anyone who's watching. And if you are watching, thank you. This is largely for my own experimentation, but I hope at least someone does enjoy this, and it's encouraging to know that people are giving me a look. Now, back to trying to respect this nice game. We were told to go to the bridge, and we will, and I won't skip these cutscenes. Captain Keyes is waiting. I won't talk during this. I will just let it run, I think.
Captain Keyes.
Good to see you, Master Chief. Things aren't going well. Cortana did her best, but we never really had a chance.
A dozen Covenant superior battleships against a single Halcyon-class cruiser. With those odds, I'm content with 3, make that 4 kills. Sleep well?
No thanks to your driving, yes.
So you did miss me.
Report!
It must have been one of their boarding parties. I'd guess an antimatter charge.
Ma'am, fire control for the main cannon is offline.
Captain, the cannon was my last offensive option.
All right, then. I'm initiating Cole Protocol Article 2. We're abandoning the Autumn. That means you too, Cortana.
While you do what? Go down with the ship?
In a manner of speaking. The object we found, I'm gonna try and land the Autumn on it.
With all due respect, sir, this war has enough dead heroes.
I appreciate your concern, Cortana, but it's not up to me. Protocol is clear. Destruction or capture of a shipboard AI is absolutely unacceptable, and that means you're leaving ship. Lock in a selection of emergency landing zones, upload them to my neural lace, and then sort yourself for a heart transfer.
Aye, aye, sir.
Which is where you come in, Chief. Get Cortana off this ship. Keep her safe from the enemy. If they capture her, they'll learn everything. Force deployment, weapons research, Earth.
I understand.
The Autumn will continue evasive maneuvers until you initiate a landing sequence. Not that you'll listen, but I'd suggest letting my subroutines handle the final approach.
Excellent work, Cortana. Thank you. Are you ready?
Yank me.
Good luck, Master Chief.
Your architecture isn't much different from the Autumn's.
Don't get any funny ideas.
Don't keep it loaded, son. You'll have to find ammo as you go.
Alright, so a lot to potentially talk about in here. Some points I will bring up even if I won't elaborate now. Cortana's design and basically how the sequels fucked that.
There's nothing you can do.
How nice this room looks is kind of a serious, relatively practical science fiction thing, and how nice the space looks. And one thing that's on my mind that I will go into, I'm going to have to hurt you, is how the remake really made a horrific mess of this. So this is cool, there's an actual little observation thing. Maybe it doesn't make sense that a ship would have this, but it's basically cool that this is there. Bungie gave you a way to look at space, and I think they had a pretty restrained take on space. Like, they wanted cool, colourful stuff in the distance to kind of make you go, wow, but like, they also aren't afraid of a bit of empty, you know, space. Like, it's black with white spots, and I think that's kind of a good general rule for science fiction. I don't like when space is turned into this ridiculous rainbow ice cream swirl. I think it's nice. It's a more manly and impressive thing to explore this black void than it is to, you know, go adventuring in this stupid young adult novel rainbow ice cream swirl. And of course you probably see where I'm going with this. Look at how nice and sparse and calculated everything looks in here, and then I'm going to hit the remake button and yeah, geez-a-loo, look at what they've done to space. Is there a single piece of black out in there, or is everything rainbow ice cream, blue, purple, orange swirl? It's quite awful, I think. And even just the bridge of the thing, it's just unnecessary color everywhere. Look, these guys are gamers now. They have their, like, purple LED monitors set up and casting light onto their faces. That's how, you know, they show off that they're gamers. And even the ring is a gamer now. It's the outside of a PC case. Look at that awesome, superfluous detail. Isn't that just horrific? I'll stop hurting you now. And then look at the actual ring Bungie designed. You know, it's a piece of utilitarian work. It actually looks like it was built to do something, you know. Why should the outside look like a gaming PC? It shouldn't. It's, you know, like, what is a gaming PC? It's just like trashy junk made to look like a rube's notion of complexity, and it's all just like fake. You know, it's Star Trek sci-fi detail. Just glue LEDs onto the side of shit to make it look more obviously from the future. Whereas, you know, Bungie, they have an actual STEM nerd's appreciation of the thing. They think, okay, it's from the future, so it's like cool and sleek and looks useful because that's actually how high-tech works. And again, you know, the screen looks like it was built to display here and now gamer PC. That's just horrible. I'm sorry to do that to you, but I hope it kind of makes the point of where we've gone wrong. Here's Keyes, normal guy. There was Cortana. The brief note that I want to make on Cortana is basically she looks the most severe in this game in a way which makes perfect thematic sense. She is this, like, how does she look? She's kind of sharp-faced, androgynous with the short hair, the attitude, and, you know, like the fairly androgynous body. She does not have, like, in Halo 4 they give her like this retarded chipmunk face and the tits and ass. That is just absurd. No, she is meant to be an angry stick woman because, you know, if you actually look into the lore, I didn't actually know that Bungie, like, basically said this in the novel they published before this, but, like, they just point out the metaphor, but I did actually realize just from piecing together the lore before that, I thought it was obvious that, you know, Cortana is humanity's Athena, and she's a mechanical clone of a scientist, and the idea there is that the brain was cloned and then reproduced in a computer, which is to say that Cortana literally sprang from the mind of her progenitor, fully formed. Like, how much more obvious could it be that they say, like, yes, she is an Athena figure, and the Master Chief, he is the Spartan. You will see a kind of trend developing here that this is all very deliberate. And her name, Cortana, like Durandal in Marathon, she is named after a sword from an old European saga, the idea being, just basically sword, she is a weapon, but also, just think like back, like it's just a kind of fun illusion because this was made by lit people. Again, as I said, Cortana is where that first kind of starts to come out, but the idea here is that, like, think lit, think old Europe. Cortana is a, superficially you might say that, like, because she is a medieval, the name is taken from a medieval time, that, like, oh, okay, so, like, and there is the halo over there, this is like a Christian thing, but then, she's called Cortana, but she is Athena, and she serves the Spartan, and we are going to Halo, but Halo is not ours, is it? It's actually, no, we are the Pillar of Autumn, we are the tradition that runs from basically ancient Greece to pseudo-Indo-European chivalric culture to space, where we're named after, like, British, where our ships are named after British poetry from, higher ages of imperial splendor, and we are fighting the Covenant, and they are the far more Christian-coded side of this thing, or Abrahamic, I should say, rather. There is basically Christian, Jewish, and Islamic imagery coming up with them, but I'm getting a bit ahead of myself now. Basically, there is a kind of preview of how I view a lot of the subtext of Halo, and how much of that was deliberate. Well, obviously a fair bit was deliberate, and I will say, basically, I think maybe they got ahead of themselves, like they weren't even aware of how right they were, like they were just kind of carried along with the organic unity of the things, driven by feeling, and I believe that arguably they made something far richer than they even intended with how these ideas, these notions of basically drawing upon and tying history into this conflict they've created here. I believe that it is quite rich how much we can read into that, and there's a lot to be appreciated there, and I will drag it up as we go. Otherwise, yes, I just wanted you to appreciate the nice sights of space, and appreciate that, again, this is in very subtle, fine detail. You can see that this is a STEM man's creation with a bit of lit man's heart, kind of providing unity and drive to the whole project. And then you see that, again, if I hit tab at any time, I can basically rip the heart and unity out of this thing and turn it into a modular collection of parts. And this is really like, tab is the button for me to demonstrate the difference between a great game which lasts 20 years and basically junk which makes no impression upon the heart of anybody. Like, games that look like this come out all the time. Technically, some morons will tell you it looks better, but a game that looks like this, will anyone be playing it in 20 years? No. 20 years later, I still greatly admire this, and I can look at it like it's brand new and just feel just endlessly fascinated by this. I could talk indefinitely about this. It is quite a stunning piece of work, I believe, and now I'm actually going to do as I've been told and get out of this place and talk a bit about basically playing the game very shortly. But for now, I think I'll call it here, and hopefully this audio has been a bit better on you, and I hope you found this halfway interesting. Thank you.